Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony Demakis with Alliance Specialties and Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. Yep, that's right. So we do all the things that mold makers don't have the time to do or don't really want to do. I mean, mold makers want to build molds. That's what they want to do. So we do all the other stuff, the stuff that causes you problems, the polishing, the laser welding, the laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative maintenance. Those are the things we specialize in. We don't want to build molds. That's not our thing. That's your thing. So if you are looking for an extension to your tool room and you need help with any of those areas, please let us help you out. Along with that, we also have a full line of laser welding and laser engraving equipment made here in the United States. American manufacturing actually means something. It means that you have the parts you need. It means that you have the service that you need. It means that you have people dedicated to making sure that you can do your job when you need to do your job. That's us. And you, as American manufacturers, you promise that to your customers as well. So, if you are an American manufacturer, buy American. It just makes sense because that's what you want other people to do. We will be at IMTS in a couple weeks. In all honesty, I'm not ready for it. I'm not looking forward to it 100%. I think once we get there, it'll be great. But right now, it's a little bit of panic over here at Alliance because we are launching new machines that, listen, it's just going to be a deadline kind of thing. We know the date. We know when we have to have it in by, and it's going to be there, and it's going to be amazing. But we're cramming so much stuff into a little box, literally. It's called the ARC. It is a laser self-enclosure. It's a laser engraving machine. It's pretty awesome. So that will be there. It's going to be the first time that it ever comes out. We'll also have our URID1, You Are Awesome shirt. So there it goes. Oh, wait. See? So that's really what it looks like. It's an amazing machine also. But that's enough about us and IMTS. Oh, we also have our golf outing coming up the week after that. Yeah, I mean, why not cram more stuff into a short timeline? We have our golf outing coming up. We are once again supporting our friends at iWarriors. All the proceeds and profits will go to iWarriors. iWarriors is an amazing organization that gives back to our combat wounded veterans in the form of iPads. And you may say that doesn't make any sense. That's silly. Why does a combat wounded veteran want an iPad? I'll tell you. They want an iPad because it's just another way for us to say thank you and recognize the sacrifices that they've made. It's something that makes our veterans and our heroes feel whole again. And not only that, but it allows them to communicate with their loved ones when they're in the hospital, when they're doing rehab, when they're going through the stuff. On top of that, there are specific and special apps that are on there to help with PTSD and rehabilitation. So all of those reasons are why we partner with Progressive and Star Charities and iWarriors to try and make a difference for our veterans. So we still have some golf spots open. We are selling out. We're capping it at 144 this year. And so we are getting close to the end. If you want to golf, you need to register. It's alliancelasersales.com/golf. There will be no day of registrations. So make sure you get that in so that we can make sure that you get on the course. We also have whole sponsors available. I think all of our dinner, lunch, all that stuff is maybe taken. There was one lunch sponsor open, and I think that they're working on getting that in. So if you want to be represented, if you want to make a difference for the lives of our veterans, you have the link, alliancelasersales.com/golf. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to Vanessa, and she will be happy to answer those for you. Anything else? No, we can actually talk to our guest today. So as always, the show is live. And you may want to comment. So I'm going to bring Alyson in, Alyson Van Hooser. She is an author. She is a is it motivational? I wouldn't say motivational, inspirational speaker.
Well, I use the word inspirational. Some, yes.
Yeah. Motivation is like, I really don't want to do this. Here's $1. Will you do it if I give you $1? Inspiration is like, I want to do it. I'm pumped. I want to get this going. So I met her at the AMBA conference and thought she was amazing. And then we talked again at the Emerging Leaders Conference and just reconfirmed what I thought. And so we chatted about finding time to get her on, and lucky for everybody that's listening, we're able to do that sooner rather than later. So Alyson, cheers with my RPS cup from my friend Richard Evans. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers with my empty water bottle. Thanks for having me, Tony. I'm excited to just chat with you more today. I hope that if you're listening to this, that the conversation that we take you into or the path that we go down, I hope that it's something that speaks to where you're at in your journey right now.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So I can see that on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, we have people watching, we have people listening. One of the things we talk about when we do the show all the time is marketing and how to get your voice out there. And this is a simple one. If you just put your name in the chat, put the company that you work for in the chat, we're going to mention it. So that's a small little blip of marketing. You're getting your name out there. It's brand recognition. It's important. But if you want to take it a step further, Alyson and I, we don't have a script for today. We've talked enough to be able to just pick up on some topics. There's things that we're both passionate about, and that's what we're going to talk about. But if you hear what we're saying and you want to chime in, that's why we do a live show, so that you have a voice to put out there. So if you have thoughts, if you have comments, if you have a question about things that we're talking about, please put that in the chat, and we'll throw that out there. Just like Jimmy. Look at Jimmy knows how to listen. Jimmy, who was also at the Emerging Leaders Conference from Creative Technologies, he says he's excited to watch Alyson bring the heat once again. Look at, see?
Jimmy, my friend Jimmy, excited you're here. If you got any questions, Jimmy, we'll answer them.
See, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's gonna be an active day. Bridget, I don't have my glasses on. Gilmer.
Bridget, how are you? I know Bridget.
Well, that's Alyson's person there. All right. I have nothing to add to that one except for welcome to the show. Excited to hear from Alyson once again. So, see, you have a following. I don't know if you realize this, but you are making an impact every time you go out and talk and reach out to people. So you must be doing something right. What's your secret?
Well, there's not really a secret, but I do have to say, so they're entering into this business. I've been doing it about 4 years, developing leaders, and there is a lot of outside pressure. We talked about this at AMBA, to build this personal brand, to almost become, you just said you have a following. There's this pressure to do that. And if I'm honest, I don't want that. I don't want the pressure. I want to be able to go do my work and make a difference with the people I get to interact with. I love doing it in person. I'm so thankful that we can do it virtually. Bridget, I'm so glad you're here. We met in person. I can't see who all's here, but Jimmy, Tony, all of you, I love meeting you all in person. I have no goal to develop followers or a following. My goal is to truly just every time I show up, everybody that I get to meet, to be able to do the work, to share my story, share my experience, share your all's experience, because my clients get to learn from one another now in the work that I do, to hopefully just help people move forward. We were talking right before we got on here about, what direction do we want to take this? And you made me think of something as you were showing that video, as you were getting started, of all of the different work that you all do at your company. And I was thinking how creative you must be in order to develop the machinery that does that, and the mold builders, how creative your mind must have to be in order to do that. And the work that I do is very much in helping people manage the business or the people side, not the creative side. I watched this video on social media last night that another one of my clients sent me, a client in the medical field. They were talking about cosmetic dentistry and how that's very creative, and how in order to do that work, you use one side of your brain to be creative and to execute well. But then it's like at the end of the day, at some point, you're managing budgets, you're managing people who want to raise, you're managing drama. The list goes on and on when it comes to people stuff. And they were saying that is so draining to someone who is creative. And the whole time I'm watching that, I'm thinking, I want to talk to this guy who was on that video. I hope that I'm giving even you, Tony, because you've been in some of my training sessions, I hope I'm giving you practical tools to help you, take care of the people side, so that you can focus on work that is equally as meaningful from the creative side.
And The easy answer is yes, but I want to also promise that we would do this. There is Rebecca with Tennessee MGMA. She met Alyson this week.
Hi, Rebecca.
So she's checking in, and Lorena from Progressive also heard you at the AMBA conference. She says it's great that you and Tony connected. It's great. It's a great fit. A big ball of capitals, energy, and inspiration. So
I love it. Hi,
listen,
Lorena.
we got big shoes to fill. But I think what you were saying is absolutely true, and you did, right? So you can get stuck. I think you can get stuck in the minutia of business and forget that the people are. It even sounds bad to say your biggest asset. I hate when people say that because it's not a thing. It's a person, it's a human, it's a life. But they are the most important thing to your business. And I think sometimes that can be misguided or forgotten somehow. And all of the things that I learned from you was like kind of getting back to that, getting back to those basics of remembering that when you're in a leadership position, and I think we talked about this a little bit when we did the live podcast, you have an opportunity and obligation to serve and look after those people that are working for you.
Absolutely. I think about if we can look at every opportunity that we get to interact with people as a privilege, as a gift, then that might change the way we show up. For me, a lot of my personal story. For those of you all that are watching this, we all have stories of how people have shown up in our life and helped us out in some point. And for me, there are some of those people who never heard a thank you or what you did mattered until 10, 15, 20 years later. And I think as leaders, and we have this new definition of leadership that is not position. It's all about showing up in a way that you get to know the people around you and you serve them. That's how when you do that, you create a better life for other people and even for yourself. It comes back to you. And I think that if we can remember that the fact that we're out of our house, that we have the opportunity to interact with people, that's a privilege, that we're here for a reason, for a purpose. And, I'm not around the same people every day, Tony, as you, which means if you don't show up for them, who's going to? We have this phrase. So I work with my father-in-law, Phil, if you all don't know that, Phil Van Hooser. And he has this phrase whenever I was thinking about, am I going to run for city council or for mayor back in my 20s? His
back in your 20s. That is so ridiculous. Wait, back in your 20s, you're like, do I run for mayor? I mean, most people are like, what am I going to have for dinner? You're like, mayor or city council?
All I can say, Tony, is that
ridiculous.
We all have different things we're supposed to do. None is better than the other. They're just different. That's what was going on in my world then. But when I called Phil basically fills the father role in my life. I said, Phil, what do you think I should do? And he said, if not you, who? If not now, when? And I think about that even when we show up. When someone's on this podcast, there's a reason you're here, something you're going to hear. Are you going to go share that? Are you going to keep that just for yourself? Like, how can we care enough and impact the people around us is top of mind for me, whether we're at work or at home.
I love that. I love that information that he gave you. And it's true in every aspect for every person, right? And there's so many people that don't realize that they are leaders in whatever capacity. I have the privilege of being part of our Nexus, which is our youth group at church. So junior high school kids. Yep. And I did a small. I heard noise. I did a 10-week leadership session with the kids there, and part of it was like trying to get them to realize that they have influence over everybody in every situation that they're in, and whether it's a positive influence or a negative influence is totally up to them, but it is an influence. So your attitude, the way you respond, the way you smile or frown or ignore somebody or answer somebody or hold the door or close the door, that all influences the situation in the moment. And I think too many people don't realize that they have the ability to have that kind of impact on other people around them. They just think, I'm too small for this. My position doesn't matter. I'm only this in a company. I'm too new. And they too many people give themselves limitations that nobody else is putting on them. Do you see that with people? Do you have to kind of coach that with people?
I do see that with people. I would add to that that what I'm seeing and hearing more now is people are thinking, I'm too burnt out to
Mm.
help someone else. Like I have so much on my plate. And now you're telling me, Alyson, I need to show up again for someone else. I'm writing a new book. The title of it is Infinite Influence.
Oh, I like
It,
that.
it's so new that I can't even correctly remember the subtitle, but part of the subtitle is Wake Up Wealthier.
Oh,
Wake Up Wealthier.
okay.
And I share that because I think if we show up as leaders focused on serving the needs of people around us, we can, in fact, wake up wealthier. We can create infinite influence and wake up wealthier. And what I mean by that is twofold. Number one, if you're exhausted thinking, how in the world am I going to show up for somebody else? What's it going to do for me? Because at the end of it all, it's our human nature to say, what is this going to do for me? How is this going to help me move forward? If we show up and we're willing to serve the needs of other people, whether it's a customer or a coworker or our spouse or our kid, if we can meet that need, we will help them. But then I believe it is wrapped deep in our DNA from the beginning of time that if we show up and we serve other people, it will fill our soul. And I
Yep.
use the term wake up wealthier because when you ask people at the end of their life, there's been numerous studies done. What does it mean to have a good life, a rich life? They will tell you it's the relationships that you
Yep.
make, not the money in your bank, but it's the relationships. And if you're the person who is helping and serving people in a way that they need and want to be served, then you're going to start building those relationships that make the work worth it.
And I love that because I think that this sounds bad when I say it. You're going to trick people into buying that book because they're going to see the word wealthy and they're going to think greedy and they're going, yeah, I want that. I want that prosperity. I want that money, right? But my guess is as they get through the book, they're going to realize that the wealth that you're talking about is not necessarily finance. Finances will come, but that's not the real wealth and benefit of doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. I definitely say it's not
Sorry,
the
I
most
ruined your book.
No, it's not the most important. For what it's worth, Wake Up Wealthier is the very bottom three lines on the front cover design. So they might not even see that, but I agree. I mean, it is twofold. But think about it for a second. If we take that to just thinking and looking at customer service,
Yep.
if we want to keep customers, keep them from going overseas,
Yep.
my time with AMBA, you've got a sign right behind you. It's all about American made. Are we getting to know our customers and what's really most important to them? What will actually make them stay with us? Is it at the end of the day a money issue? Is that really what it is? Or could it be something else? Can you uncover a different need that maybe you could serve that would keep them, help them stay longer, maybe spend more? I think that, infinite influence should both fill your pocketbook and your soul. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that as long as we have our integrity intact at all times.
Yeah, I mean, money is not a dirty thing. You
Right.
you need money to make big impacts in different ways. It's just a matter of what you do with it, right? It's not the love of money that's evil. It's an overabundant love of money. It's just at all expenses, I'm not going to give up my dollar. It
Right.
doesn't matter what it is. You need it if you want to go. Put a well in Africa. You need money to do that. Just well wishes doesn't work. So it's not a bad thing. Zig Ziglar says it all the time. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you need. I know
Yes.
you don't watch any of the other motivational stuff,
I
which
don't, but you have to explain that for the people who don't know. So it's
no,
not
I get it. No, it's not
okay.
that you think that you're better than them. I really respect why you don't. You don't want to accidentally steal any sayings or comments or thoughts that another speaker might have, because in your line of work, it's detrimental. People would just be like, she's just a Southern copycat. And that's
Exactly.
not
Yes.
the case. I mean, anybody that's seen you knows that nobody else is telling your stories. They're just too awesome and too detailed and too impactful. Uh, But I feel bad for you because I think you're missing out on a lot of good stuff. And I'm
I feel bad for you. That's great. One of these days I will read more, but not at this point.
no, I get it. I get it. I'm here. Every book I read, I'll just highlight stuff, and then when you're ready, I'll just ship you like a whole box of books, and you just have to read the highlighted sections, and it'll be fine.
There you go. Yes.
But I think the fact that you do that shows a high level of integrity, and even more reason why people should give you value into the things that you're saying, because you're not just trying to copycat or piggyback what the newest kind of trend is in speaking or leadership or whatever. It's actual life experience. It's like what we talked about. It's the things that you're passionate about. So why is it so passionate to you? Why is this your calling, your purpose, your why?
Tony, I don't know if I have even answered that question for you, like person to person, human to human. Maybe I have in a roundabout way, but when I think about the work I'm doing now, I truly feel like I can look back and see that I was made to do exactly what I'm doing right now. And I can see that from the fact that, this, being in my training sessions, I can use stories of life experiences that I had even as a little girl to help illustrate a point that is helpful in developing leaders in the workplace. Now, and thinking, okay, how did you get exactly to where you are? I mentioned my father-in-law, Phil Van Hooser, a little bit ago. I've met my husband whenever I was a sophomore in high school, so just a teenager. And his dad told me, I remember being on vacation with them whenever I was in college, and him saying, one day I feel like you could write a book just about your life stories, this and that. And I mean, I probably spit pool water everywhere when he said that, thinking he is nuts. Like, I would never write a book. Now I'm on number 3. I will never go speak to people. That was just something I wasn't interested in. I took a public speaking class in college. I think if you go to college, not that that's a requirement, but if you go to college, I think it's just a 101 entry level type of deal where you have to take public speaking. I remember I wouldn't let my then boyfriend, now husband, walk me back from an evening class to my dorm room because I would sweat through my clothes and I would just reek after the end of class because I was so nervous and freaked out about standing in front of people and having to speak. But for me, you heard me mention earlier that I served on city council whenever I was in my 20s. And I was on city council for one term. I won that election. It was really cool. I used that to illustrate how to grow your influence in today's world. But I came to the end of my term, and sitting on city council, I'm a very all-in type of person. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to give you everything I've got. And I realized that in government, when you're on city council, you are a very small piece of the puzzle. You have a very small vote, a very small voice. It's hard to enact real change on city council. And so I started wrestling with, do I go into politics full time? Because I just had this calling to make a difference, to do something maybe bigger than I'm even courageous enough to dream about right now. But I feel it in my soul. And so I wrestled back and forth. People were saying, you should run for mayor. You should do this. And I started, questioning within myself, is this a sign? Am I supposed to do that? I mentioned that I called my father-in-law, Phil. And a couple of things that happened along the way. And it just became crystal clear that, in fact, I was not supposed to do politics full time. I needed to go into the workforce. And this work specifically because I'm getting to the point here.
Listen, I love your stories. I'll just sit back and listen to you. That's fine.
Just eat some popcorn and chill.
That's it.
So I sat in on Phil's training. Tony, you and I had a day and a half together at the AMBA Emerging Leaders Retreat.
Yep.
Phil has developed over 30 years, well over 60, 70, 80 plus hours of leadership development training in lots of different aspects. A while back, I say 10 plus years ago, I sat through like an 8 to 12 session series of his leadership training. And there was a process he taught in there called Earning the Right to be Heard. He does have that book on Amazon. If you're curious after I tell this story, Earning the Right to be Heard. It's a 5-step process for selling your ideas to decision makers and earning the right to be heard in the workplace. I had just started with an organization. I won't tell all the details, but I had just started with an organization and had learned this process in our training. I was asked to do succession planning for my role. I was managing several people in the organization, and the executive team asked me to create a succession plan. And if you're not familiar with that terminology, it just basically means if I get hit by a train or I die,
Who's
who's going to
next,
take my
right?
place? Yeah.
Yeah. Next on the bench. Who's next? Who's coming in?
Exactly. And in working through that, it just became really clear to me that if I looked at this objectively, that the organization could benefit by eliminating my position. Like, just fire me. It can exist without it, restructure. However, I had 2 little babies at that point, so I still needed a job. So I had to find a way for me to figure out how I could add more value to the organization. So I take this process that Phil taught me to sell an idea to decision makers in an organization. I take it to the executive team, and almost everybody in the room at first couldn't believe that I stood in front of the CEO and said, "You should eliminate my position."
Well, it's not a
However,
popular thing to do
it's not. You're exactly right.
unless you're looking for the severance package.
There you go. Well, the CEO afterwards, long story short, 6 months later, we eliminated my position, restructured the organization, and I was able to be then on a part of a lot of large projects that changed the direction for the organization. And I have no doubt it was because of the way I presented the idea. Using that earning the right to be heard 5-step process that Phil had taught me in class. And so when I'm trying to make this big life decision of where am I going to land, I'm a millennial. I had 7 different jobs. I was almost 30 years old. I needed to find my landing place. It became really clear that I needed to carry this on. That I've used this material in my own career. It's worked. It's something that anybody can do. Most people should do. And so hopefully I have the stories to help inspire people to take action to really make positive change. So that is a huge, long-winded answer, but I hope you can see that you already know I'm passionate about this, but I believe that this is the work I'm meant to do, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And it's not just that, right? Where you were like, I'm really good at public speaking class. Speech class is easy. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna make a killing at this. I just want to be out on stage. I'll scribble some notes in a book and just knock this out. There's something behind it. There's truth behind it. There's real behind it. There's passion behind it. And I think that's the thing that people can see and they can feel, especially when you do the small trainings, right? Like at the AMBA conference, there's 120, 150 people there. You can feel a little bit of that energy, but I had the privilege of being at the emerging leaders where we had 25, 30 people in a room, maybe. And really being able to dive in, and then, spending the time on the, later that night when we went out and we did the podcast and everything else. And the realism of what it is, not just, Alyson, the stage performer, and then this person that doesn't back it up, but just the authenticity and the realism of what you're doing in the speaking and the afterwards, and just, kind of building and creating relationships with the people that you're talking to, and realizing that they're people with real problems that you want to solve, not just sell books.
Absolutely. Tony, your team was there. You had multiple people there. I'd love to hear your perspective on having multiple people from the same team in the room going through this training, because either I'm working with one organization's team or I'm at a conference and there's 1 or 2 people there from a company. I'd love for the people to hear your perspective on having multiple people from the same team in the same room. How that felt.
I'll definitely share, but if any of the guys that were there are also listening, I want to encourage them to, I know you're working. Okay. I know you're working. You are listening. You're doing both. You can type for a second, put in the chat what your takeaways were. Same thing with Rebecca or Bridget. If you've been in the trainings, put your takeaways in there so we can talk about them. This is what Alyson's asking for. What are those real life moments? But for me, it was really good to see each one of the guys have the confidence and the ability to come up and talk to you about individual things. And again, here's the integrity part. You never at one point said, hey, Mike came up and this is what he said. This is what you need to work on. That's a conversation between you two. And you didn't say you need to fix this. Same thing with Rick or Steve or whoever it was. But just that willingness to engage and sit at the table with everybody else at dinner and just ask what's going on and see where people are. We had brief conversations in the car on the way home. Everybody was really, really tired. It was honestly the longest. I mean, you have kids. If you have kids, you know this. You try to get your kids to play the quiet game when you're in the car, and they won't do it. They're just the whole time. I'm not gonna lie. That's a 6.5 hour drive. I think 4 hours was just pure silence with people sleeping. Besides me, I knew nobody wanted to listen to what I wanted to listen to, and I kept trying to start conversations. But I also realized that it was a long 3 days of learning, of training, of conversations, of just a lot of mental capacity for things that are new. A lot of late night riding on motorized scooters and everything else that goes along with it. And so in reality, I realized that people need some rest. They need to sleep a little bit, but it was a really, 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 really quiet ride. But everybody expressed that, some people, it gave them validation to the way that they were already training or trying to manage and the things that they were doing that maybe they were on the fence about. Other people, it made them rethink everything that they had ever heard about leadership and management or had experienced up until that point, and how they really wanted to do things differently. I think a lot of, and we talked about this after the AMBA conference, I think a lot of what you train and teach and believe in is the idea of servant leadership, of serving the people that are around you and actually caring for them like you should. Not using them, you're sitting on your perch or your throne and you're cracking a whip and saying, pull, pull, pull. You're in the trenches and you're inspiring people with what you have to offer. And it's good to see that message continuing to be spread and said and sent out into the public more regularly, because I think a lot of people have a bad representation of what leadership is. All right, Steve. Sorry, I'm going to read this and then you can add in. Steve Elrod, who was also at the conference. Man, I got to wear my glasses more when we do these. Biggest takeaway from the seminar was the two different leadership styles, and me not realizing I was leaning towards the autocratic style without understanding the other style, that being a democratic leader. I feel the adjustment in my leadership style. Was there more? Maybe it's over here. Oh, okay. I feel like the adjustment in my leadership style has benefited our production within the workplace and with the team.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
How about
yes,
it, huh?
yes.
That
I
was
love that. I'm so happy to hear that. Can I just make a comment?
Please.
So, for someone who wasn't in the training, you may be thinking, what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to train everybody right now. Nobody wants to hear that. But I will say, we got to check our hearts, like yes. John Chris, the comedian, check your heart. You have to check your heart and say, what's my motivation? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it for power? Is it for control so that I can make sure everything happens just the way I want it? Or is it to say, I have all of these people in my care, these employees, how can I make sure that they develop, grow, and learn to the best of their ability? Did they meet or exceed their highest potential? If we check ourselves and say, which way am I operating, and then choose one, I believe that one is better than the other, to each their own. But I'm holding my cords. I don't know why. I believe to each their own. But I believe that if leaders show up and their goal is group involvement and engagement to get people becoming better, even if that means they become better than you, then how can you ever think that your team would not be radically successful? You are creating a breeding ground for success when you do that.
Yes. And if you are the leader of an organization and the people that are below you is not the right word. If it's an org chart, they're below you. If they're following along with you, if they start to surpass you, that only makes you look better. It doesn't make you look worse as a leader in the organization. Now, if you're not doing your job, then everybody in the organization stays down, and there's no growth, and there's no you're the ceiling of the success of your business. That's useless, because to your point with succession, if you get hit by a bus, then what? The business folds, or do you build everybody up around you so that your business can go in other directions? You can do other things. And then as a leader, you can spend your time looking for other opportunities to grow the business and achieve more in ways that only you can as the leader of a business.
I totally agree. One thing I'll add to that is we talked about leadership styles, and to open that session up, one of the things I asked you all was define your leadership style. If somebody comes to work for you, give them 3 words or less. This is my leadership style. What would you say? And like in every training room, I've been doing this for 4 years, hundreds of sessions. Every training room, people are like, oh, I don't know exactly what to say. I guess I would tell them that I want to help you, or as long as you do what I say, everybody will be happy. People are unsure, but when we give them the words to say, oh, this is my leadership style, this is what it's going to mean for you, this is what it means for me, this is literally defining how I show up, giving them clarity into how they operate, I believe is powerful. I can't remember what the comment was, but for them, having clarity on exactly what my leadership style is, how I need to move forward was helpful. So think about, if you're listening to this, do you know your leadership style? Can you clearly define that? And then if you own the organization, you have other people who are managing and supervise people, do they have the clarity? Because if they don't, then you are choosing to keep a door open that welcomes confusion and potentially stifles your success. I think as leaders, we have to be really intentional about the people part of our business if we want a more successful future.
Yep. It's the thing that matters most. I mean, really, it truly is, because if you don't have people, you can't do what you need to do. It doesn't matter how automated you are. It doesn't matter how much technology you have. If it's not the people within your organization, it's the people you're trying to sell to or market to or whatever. And people can see through crappy people. It's not, I mean, you can't hide it forever. It's going to come out, right? Yeah. And people know who and what they want to work with. And it makes a difference. It matters. It really, really, truly matters. It makes me laugh because we talk about, you mentioned, and I kind of fed off of it, the idea that, people get jealous of somebody rising above them. Mm-hmm. And that's nothing new. I mean, that's right. Like from the beginning of time, right? That's David and Saul, right? Like he wants to kill David because the people love him more, instead of realizing like, well, I'm the king. I put this guy in charge. That's kind of my thing too. That's good. Kudos. High five. It's like, I'm gonna kill this guy because he's getting too much attention. And I think as leaders, that's an issue that we have to worry about. We used to have a little bit of a culture, even at our place at Alliance. I remember telling Bobby's this like ball of energy. If you've ever seen the movie Over the Hedge, you have kids, you've probably seen it. He's like the squirrel. It's like he's on a million different Red Bulls at one time. He is nonstop. He's incredibly good at what he does. It's all energy all the time. There is no slowdown. And he's really, really knowledgeable. And I told Bobby, what I need you to do is I need you to take this guy and I need you to teach him what you know. And you are more valuable if you teach him what you know. And he said, oh, you guys just want to fire me. You want me to teach him everything so you can fire me and save money. And I was like, if that's what I want to do, I would just fire you. That's not it at all. You have so much knowledge and so much value as a person, more than Bobby that can do this thing, but Bobby, the person that can teach other people, and we can do more work. We can grow things together. And if you can teach, now you have a different role. You have a different responsibility. You're not just this person in a box. There's so much more you can do and so much more we can do as an organization. And now Now he is training guys. He is working with them. He is showing them how he's doing things. But it took a long time, and it took a long time to build that trust, because he's probably experienced that in multiple other locations, and you carry over that baggage from experience to experience.
Your stories stay with you. They
Yeah.
shape how you show up, what you think, what you expect. There's so much good in there, what you just shared. I think as leaders, if we ever wonder why someone isn't performing the way we want them to, why they're not training, or why do we keep arguing, or why is there always this tension, or why are they not stepping up? You fill in your question. Why does this boss not give me opportunities? Why is this customer no longer buying from me? My phrase is always going to be, I bet you could finish this for me, Tony, but I won't put you on the spot. What's the story here?
Yeah.
What's the story? What is going on in their mind that makes them make that decision? You're about to
And
say something.
my father, we have the most interesting interview styles here ever. We don't go by a script. It's just, he would always, I would sit in with him, and he would sit down with somebody, and he would just start and say, so tell me a story, and just leave it,
I love
and
it.
let them fill in the blank on what that meant. Um, and I find that that's the thing that matters, right? You learn, like you constantly preach and teach. That story is the thing that matters. Let people kind of tell you what they are. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to be involved in like a 2-hour interview with somebody, and we just talk about stuff and what life is, and what do they want from life, and how did they get where they are, and what's happening, and what does this look like there. Because really, at the end of the day, I don't care if you have an outstanding cover letter. Listen, if you ever apply for a job at Alliance, I'm going to save you some time. Do not include a cover letter. I'm not going to read it. I don't care. I don't care about transcripts. Just don't submit them. It doesn't matter. I joke with people. I'm like, if you don't suck, you have a chance. We're going
Oh
to
my
hire you.
gosh.
We're going to hire you. You don't suck as a person, because that's really what matters. You can train and teach everything. It's the intangible things. It's the heart, the commitment, the passion, the grit, the things that are our core values. Those are the things that you need to get out of an interview. A cover letter and a transcript with all A's is not going to tell me if you have gratitude for your situation, or you want to build relationships with people, or you act with integrity, or you have tenacity when things get tough. None of that comes through in a standard like, tell me a time when you had a challenge at work and how you overcame it. Like, who cares? That's a canned story. I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to know the real person. That's the stuff that matters, because that's what's going to come out in 6 months.
Yeah. I totally agree. And that you can take that whether you're a new hire somewhere, if you're wanting to be promoted. I think that getting to know people's stories, if you're hearing this and this is the first time you're hearing us talk about this comes from conversations we had around a leadership strategy. How do we move forward, and getting to know their stories? And there are stories that I say every leader needs to know and tell. And that's telling stories is the one situation where I would say a leader needs to speak first. You need to tell your story first. If it's a new hire and you're in an interview, if it's you're wanting to get a promotion, or you're wanting to gain a customer, whatever it is, you go first. You
Sure.
tell your story first, because that is where you start building trust. If you're willing to be open and vulnerable with them, you have to choose your story carefully, but then that likely will open the door for them to trust you enough to be open with you, to give you insight into who is this person really.
I think too many times, too, based on what you're saying, leaders, they think if they share too much, they become vulnerable, almost too vulnerable, where they can be manipulated or whatever. But I also think as leaders, we have to, this could sound bad, present the idea of strength, but then also be vulnerable when we need to be. Does that make sense? Like, you don't want to be the guy that's walking around complaining about every situation of his life just so other people will let stuff go. I think you have to pick and choose that. So you have to have your confidence, your comfortability, your strength of commitment but you also have to be able to assess the situation. If you see somebody's in a space, and be able to share with them, you know, something that's going on in your life, to like kind of crack the ice a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And I would just sort of underscore that, Tony, to say you have to be really intentional as leaders with every single thing you say. I used to work in a restaurant, and behind there was a silver swinging door where you
Yep.
would walk out. It was a pizza restaurant. So out here, where all the customers were, that's where you made pizza. Everybody could see you. That's where you put your best foot forward.
Yep.
Behind the door, that's where stuff could hit the fan and things
Yes.
might go a little crazy. But everybody knew that, man, once that door swings open, it's on. And I think as leaders, we have to think that way from the moment we leave our house in the morning. If somebody sees us driving, how we walk into the building,
Yep.
how we carry ourselves down the hallway, in the bathroom, in their office, or walking by their office and saying how or not saying how. We have to be intentional about everything. So I agree, Tony. No, you cannot be walking around complaining about this and that. When we talk about vulnerability and authenticity, both very big buzzwords in the work world today,
Yep.
I think what I would say is that can go really wrong if you're not focusing on spending time in step one of the communication model that we talked about, which
Yep.
was ideation. What is the idea here? What am I trying to accomplish with this? If you're just out there talking and you don't have a real goal in mind, you need to be quiet and go back to your office. You need to be intentional about every single thing you do as a leader. And that's a lot of pressure, which is why a lot of people don't want to step into management and supervisor positions, because you do open yourselves to more influence, and you could have good influence or bad influence, like you said. But this is why you have to create a culture of leadership in your organization, so that you do have people who are showing up, being intentional. And it's hard work. It takes commitment. And oftentimes it's a long-time strategy, because you don't see dollar signs coming from people being better leaders overnight. This
Right.
takes time for you to be able to see the business transition into a better place.
Yeah. I had a moment yesterday. So it was a long meeting in the morning. I was feeling a little bit of stress. Then I had to go from here to our other facility that was 15 minutes away, and I'm listening to music really, really loud, enjoying it. We had customers over there, and it was like it was like going on stage, right? Where it's kind of like you're standing there, you got all these emotions, and you walk in and you just kind of like, and then go, right? It just take it all in, understand where you're at, understand what you have to do, go do your job, lead with conviction. And then when you go back to your office or you go back in your car, you can feel however you want to feel. But in that moment, you have to be a symbol of strength. And customers don't want to see you be weak and pissy. That's just honest. And so you got to like pull it in, suck it in. Here we go. And
I'm right there with you. Did we talk about catch and crush, Tony?
No.
I don't have the time to talk about it a lot right now, but I do have a hard stop at 2:30. But you just made me think there. So I have 4 babies, for
Yep.
anybody that doesn't know me. And after everybody, and if you're listening to this, you may not be a parent, you may not understand this because of your own experience as a parent, but I think you'll understand this from a mindset perspective. After I had every baby, I suffered really bad with postpartum depression. I remember bringing home my first baby, and I have dreamt of a family for my entire life. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to have these babies. I counted down the days, so I got to bring my little Willow home, who's 10 years old now. And I remember bringing Willow home and waking up at night, nursing her, and just thinking, I feel empty. I feel alone. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't feel like I thought a mother would feel. And I remember just sort of having like a, if we can say, a come to Jesus moment, just a realization for myself, saying, you know what, you may not feel like it, but you need to show up how and who you want to be in order to feel like it. And so I would pull myself out of bed, make myself go take a shower, put on the makeup, the outfit, get Willow ready. And I would literally go walk around Walmart in our small town. It was the only big store open 24 hours a day. And so whenever I was feeling that way, I would put her in the car. We'd go to Walmart and we'd walk around, not to shop, but to talk to people and to make myself laugh, even when I didn't feel like it, because I knew that, I might not feel like it right now, but if I continue to take the next right step, then eventually the feelings will come.
Yep.
And of course they did. And I'm not discounting depression. Sometimes people need medicine for that.
Of course.
So I'm not discounting that at all. But I do think there's power in saying, this is how I feel. You're going to catch that feeling. And then, this is, you and I have talked about biblical stuff before. This is biblical. I think it's Paul. He says, take every thought captive. Boom. I'm going to catch this feeling. This is how I'm feeling. I'm stressed. I'm frustrated. I am so angry right now. But then you have to crush it. Meaning, I'm either going to use this energy to fuel me on stage because I'm so excited, or I'm going to take that anger and I'm just going to crush that so I can go crush my goal. I'm going to leave that behind so I can go do good work.
And it's not pretending it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
It's saying, this is what's going on. I'm noticing it. Here you are. I don't like you, whatever you are. I see you, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to physically change it. To your point, there's days you wake up and you think, I don't know if I can dad today. I don't know if I can parent today. I don't know if I can mom today. Well, the reality is tough. Because you are, I don't know if I can lead today. Tough. You're a leader. So if you don't think you can lead today and you're going to call in sick, what message does that send to the team? If they're not feeling it, just call in. If you're a dad or a mom and you think, I can't do it today, I'm not going to mom today, I'm not going to dad today. Great. So when your kids need something, you're going to bail because today is not the day. You got to put your big boy pants on. This is what you have to do. And if you don't think you can, you're wrong. You can. You have to do it because you have people counting on you. Right, wrong, indifferent, easy, hard, doesn't matter. There's people counting on you in every aspect of your life, and you have to show up for them.
And I think it's just important to note that in today's world, we have this culture of we need to feel good. It's all about me. I think just saying out loud that this world is not all about you. Life is not all about you. You have a purpose that you're here to fulfill, and sometimes you may not feel like it, but you have to keep going anyways because there's a bigger thing going on out there than you. I have to say that in the workplace too. No, the grass is not always greener somewhere else. Everywhere you are, there will be challenges, and it's those people who wake up and they catch and crush and they say, I'm going to own it no matter what. I'm going to take positive action forward, even when I don't feel like it, even when it's hard, even when I think I shouldn't have to. Those are the people who end up earning success. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. The grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Where
Who
are you putting
said
your
that?
effort?
Yes.
I don't know, but I love it. I can't remember. I stole it from somebody. So don't quote me. If you quote me, it's like Tony said because he heard it from somebody else who probably heard it from somebody else. Well, I didn't come up with that. I'm not that smart. I can promise you.
Isn't that what a crazy world we live in where we have to
not-
use disclaimers like that?
Yeah, I did not come up with that. It's too good for me. Hey, pick a number between 1 and 6.
3.
3. Atta girl. You didn't pick like 7. Oh, this is good for you. What is the main thing that influences your decisions? These are from the interview deck. I like these questions.
Oh, I like that. The main thing that influences my decision is laying down the law. I have a very clear picture and I always know exactly what's most important for me in the moment. And not many people can do that. I literally have a running list in my bedroom, in my office. I know exactly what's most important. So when opportunities come my way, when challenges come my way, when distractions come my way, I know very quickly what to do in order to move forward to get to where, who, exactly what I'm trying to accomplish.
Good. How about this one? Because I actually care. What upcoming life event are you most excited about?
Oh, upcoming life event I'm most excited about. That is so hard. You're catching me really off guard, but I would say
that's kind of the fun of it.
Probably, so I mentioned that I work with my father-in-law. We're in the process of transitioning the business. I'm buying it from him, and so there's a lot of moving
Oh,
parts. There is no giving here. There is no
yeah.
just you're a member of the family. It's you're going to
Oh.
earn this, and just like anybody else would. And so I'm excited to take on more of a decision making role and transitioning this business and moving it forward in a way that I hope will create impact for the next 40 plus years.
It is so. I wish we had more time, but we can talk forever. It's so crazy how similar our paths are. My father's last day of work is tomorrow. We
Ah!
just finalized everything for us to do the exact same thing. So,
Good.
yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. It's so weird because you have to separate your father-in-law, from the business. So
Yep.
here's this person that I care more about than most people in the world,
Yep.
and you have to look at that and say, okay, what are the give and takes? I mean, here's a guy that's done everything for me his whole life, but he's also the person that I'm buying the business from. What is it worth? What is this? What is that? How does it all look? And I swear I've become more gray in the last few months because of all of it. But in the end, it's going to be really good. And, he's excited about the next part of his life and what that journey looks like. And so it's going to be good, but it's interesting that you're going through that. And I wouldn't say that I would be here for advice, because I don't think my advice would be any good.
Well,
Don't
I
wait.
don't know
Here's
that
what
I'm.
I'll tell you. Don't wait till the last minute. That's the advice I'll give you.
Now that is true. That is one thing we have done very well, planning from the very beginning since I started working for him. We have done that really well. But you and I are not the only people in that position. There are
Yeah.
businesses across the country, across industries that are making a huge transition, whether it's an entrepreneurial business or a Fortune 100 business. They're making that transition because we know baby boomers are retiring. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. Yeah. Thank you, Tony, for having me on today. I hope that there were some nuggets in there that were helpful for you or an encouragement to you and anybody who is listening or watching.
Yeah, so we end every show with a prayer. I think it's really, really important. I think there's only one person that can actually do something about the things that we need, and it's really their will that matters, anyways. So that being said, Alyson, do you have any prayer requests? If you have any prayer requests, put them in the chat. If you're still with us, I know it's been a long conversation, but if you're there and you have any requests, put them in the chat, and we will mention them.
I'll give one up. I won't say a name, but if they watch this, they know who they are. I had a friend today email saying that they're really struggling with their kids going back to school, and now they're bringing sickness home. So their whole family is just now finally getting out into the world and post-COVID, and that creates a lot of anxiety and challenges. So I told her we would remember them. So I'm doing that now. Thank you for the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, so I'll pray real quick. I know you got to get off, so not that you should rush prayer, but Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to talk with my friend Alyson. Thank you for all her knowledge and passion and excitement for not just business, but for making a difference in people's lives and having real, true servant impact, the kind that you demonstrated and modeled for us years and years ago in the best possible way. We pray for all the people that are struggling with their kids going back to school, especially Alyson's friend, and all the situations that come along with that. And we also pray for Jeremy and his family and his baby and everybody else that is involved with surgery happening today, that your hand would be on them and with them, and it would be a speedy and healthy recovery. And through everything else, we just pray that your will would be done, and you get all the glory. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. We got 30 seconds. Thank you, Alyson, for joining me, for coming on. I still hope to get you here sometime to do some training with our team. 30 seconds. Anything you want to say?
Nothing I want to say. Thank you for your time, Tony. I'm here for you whenever you and your team are ready. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you for being amazing and doing everything you do. I really do appreciate the friendship that we're developing, and I do not take it for granted. So thank you. Enjoy your day. Good luck at your meeting.
Thank you so much. Bye, Tony.
See ya. All right. That was fun. Man, I could talk to Alyson for hours. And I'm sure over the course of our friendship, we will. It's great. She is incredibly knowledgeable. And if you liked what you heard from her, her and her father-in-law, Phil, they do have a training company that they will go on site. They will work with you and your team, and they will go over all the things that they do so well. I think that it's very well worth it. Because otherwise, how are you going to hear her unless you're part of the AMBA or whatever that looks like? You can't. It's not like you're going to go on a concert tour and follow her around. So the best way to do it is to call and schedule time with her or Phil. They're super easy to talk to. The Southern accent helps for both of them. It's an awesome couple of people, and I'm incredibly grateful for knowing them. So that's it for today. We have IMTS coming up. Please stop by the booth and come and see us. We've got all kinds of good things we want to share with you and talk to you about. And if you don't come to the booth, we're just going to be bored for a week, and that's not fun for anybody, honestly. So please come visit us. Come to the golf outing, September 23rd. We can't wait to see you there. And if you would like to be part of the show, you like the show, please, click the follow button, click the like button, share it with somebody that you think would get some benefit out of today's show. If you think your manager is horrible and they need to hear something positive, then maybe, send it to them with like, hey, you do all of this stuff. Here's some validation. And then they'll listen to it and maybe your life will get better. I don't know what to tell you, but we would like to have more people listening, and we would like to tell more people's stories. So if you would like to be part of the show, or somebody that would, please let us know. You can send Vanessa an email at vanessaf@alliancelasersales.com, and she will get you all scheduled. We've got the next few weeks pretty well booked, I think. No, she's shaking her head no. So, hey, if you got time coming up, let's talk. But other than that, on behalf of myself and Alyson and Alliance and the Van Hooser crew, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless.